Cool, great. So we've talked about those levels. Now let's talk about the type of systems that would be required at these levels. And so we could talk about, this is really systems that capture, the whole idea here is we're talking about systems that are capturing the relevant information at these levels. So first of all systems are about processing, analyzing, and holding information. And so the different management decision-making levels within the organization need different types of information. So I think I've just literally drawn this out of your text. And so this is sort of highlighting, as I might have highlighted earlier on in the first video for chapter 3, that a strategic planning, there would be this need for an executive information system type of information where they have information that gives them access to internal and external information, and information is provided in a summarized form where they can drill down to a greater level of activity. But the key point here is we're looking at internal and external information in making decisions. So all of it can't be true. Some of it is forecast information. Then we have decision support systems. So systems that are enabling management to make all kinds of decisions, and we'll look at those. And this is very much about inputting data, if you like, in large volumes. So processing routine business transactions. And I've written here as a basic idea, the systems towards the top of the pyramid will support the strategic decisions, and they will use data from systems in the levels below, which was I was highlighting earlier on. So the need for accuracy, well, everything that we talked about, that acronym accurate, but there is no great emphasis. You can't emphasize enough the need for having good information here, which feeds, of course, upwards. And again, we see that here where we have executive information feeding strategic planning, of course, decision support systems feeding the middle here, and then you have transactional processing systems feeding operational planning and control. So let's start from the bottom. Like I said, the operational is very much about recording historic information and very much, if you like, capturing processes and storing output at a low-level transaction data. So your ledgers, just collecting data. Important as data input incorrectly will affect every report or payroll. Doesn't really matter. The key point is that any interface where frontline information is collected, it has to be captured. So what we were talking about earlier on, the capturing of information, it might be the scanning of receipts, it might be just whatever the basic recording of this data. It might just be simply the recording of sales, like I said earlier on, of the trade, weekly trade. Just that, how do we record weekly trade events taking place? I'm going to give you an example here. We have a system where we're recording sales, and at the end of each day, what you can do is, like we were talking about the difference between data and information, you have all these figures here, and then for the different days of the week, and we can see that on week 1, on day 1, we sold 10 books, we sold 5 books on Tuesday, 3 books on Wednesday, 8 books on, so it gives us, we can now start making decisions based on this information. So we can produce a summary of how many of each type of book has been sold. And then we, again here, so exactly, so you can do a range of things. You go ahead and choose what decision you want to make, drop the price here, whatever it is, buy more of a particular book. You see what I mean? Talking about books, at EIS, part of that sort of data system would have an awareness of the popular books coming up because they'll be in touch with agents, and agents might tell them they have a book coming up, so they're aware, so they start to plan, if you like, for those ideas. So that's what EIS is really about. We're not looking at EIS right now, but just kind of linking the two. So just to show you the way, the divergence in thought. Okay, great. Decisions can be made about which books to store. Okay, and this is just some more information, really. Daily. Key point is that the TPS records the daily transactions, operational and basic decision making. And we have some systems here: sales, manufacturing, finance. We could go on. really just recording the details of the purchases here, and we've talked about the ledgers already in payroll systems. Now, for our middle management, and I guess, of course, extending on to our strategic as well, we have what we refer to as management information systems. Big area. And typically, it's how do we collate all this information and then analyze it and make it useful. But we need it first. We need a pool of it. Think of it like that, as a pool. So typically, the whole building of databases, big if sort of systems and engineering sort of area, is the databases, of course, are able to process and store information, if you like, within within the organization. So you have databases, and then we have direct control systems, so systems which are able to report. So you have reports. So all this data has gone into these ledgers, and then you have reports that come out. So age debtor reports, age creditor reports, debtors over a certain amount of time, exceptions. So all these type of systems are management information systems. We can make decisions. That's the key point. And then we have decisions that you can inquire. I mean, within database you can have. I'm sure there's something. Yeah, that's it. It's a query. There's a query function, but query functions ultimately are what we're talking about here. The fact that you want some information. You can do that within Excel as well. You can go in and query. So Excel would of course serve as a system. Maybe it's not as refined as some of the databases, but the key point here is these are based on databases which provide specific information on the performance of a particular department or an employee. And then we have systems that actually analyze and forecast and can bring out simulations for us, so we can do so I'll go on to what those can do, but the key point here is that decision systems are, which is what we're talking about really, spreadsheets, databases, statistical programs, query language, really within databases, and finally, expert systems. So, I mean, tax is a classic where you want to know what to do with, I don't know, a particular client who lives abroad and who's been in the country for 2 years. Typically, you have systems where you can go and put this kind of information in, and it tells you exactly what their residence status is. But we have systems now, so not just I mean, of course, it's a system. It's not a system because it's not a system because it's in IT. It's a system, if you like, because it's a tool that you can go in and get information from, if you like. So you have expert systems on financial reporting standards. And financial reporting standards, I mean, this is big, IFRS. You can go in and get whatever information you want. So I was talking earlier on about these the support systems over here that enable you to carry out like what if scenarios. I mean, in Excel you can do this anyway. Everything's ranging from goal seeking to what ifs, if you like, to conditional, to scenario planning. I think even in the same tab you'll see what if, goal seeking, scenario planning, carry out sensitivity analysis, still what if, so break even, for example, and what ifing price goes down, or what ifing costs go up, and you can do different things. Of course, you can look at your inventory analysis, literally breaking it down, breaking your inventory up into the different areas. And then, of course, variance analysis goes without saying. So you can see that the MIS is very much about decision making and analyzing, whilst your executive information systems, which I talked about earlier on, is very much about providing strategic managers with flexible access to information from the internal. The key point is always remember these guys are looking at the internal and the external environment. So of course the internal information probably is coming in from MIS, and your external, of course, is, and you mix up the two and you can put some very interesting reports. So this is some kind of dashboard that tries to integrate information from multiple components. in a unified display. So they are interesting because we are bringing in external data into our current situation. And finally, in this second video, we talked about expert systems. So expert systems can be used at all levels. So I think there's one or two questions you see where it says, who uses expert systems? Everyone can use expert systems within the organization. Probably just you need a password and you go in, you might pay a fee for annual use. All systems, and they hold specialist knowledge on tax, law, whatever it is to look for, to make decisions. Typically a computer program captures human expertise. So basically it's been populated, people have spent time. So those kind of like question and answers, typical questions that you expect, but actually just straightforward standards with you going into, and it's able to give you access to the information you need. And it's a knowledge base, ultimately. Knowledge base used to solve problems. So I talked earlier on about ERP systems. So ERP systems fundamentally, it's almost like one massive extranet. That's it. That connects, that enables you to connect all your different areas. You can see even within the ERP you have CRM and sales, everything connected together, so in real time, so you can see what's going on here at once. So if a customer says, I would like some goods, and this supply is based in China, everyone can see exactly what's going on because we have one central system. So we don't have to wait for the goods to arrive before finance start receiving the invoice. Everything is very much connected. So these are ERP systems. Again here, ERP systems integrate data from all operations into one system. So one big system, and everyone is working off the same system, and includes decision support features as to assist with decision making. So again, like I said, we can use it to do supply chain management. We can measure. We can have benchmarks. It can pull out reports to see how we're doing in the different areas. And then, of course, we can see what's driving and what's causing the cost. So the key point is they can be used for extracting performance. Cool, great stuff. I think that's a great place to end that video. In the next video, we will do customer relationship management and big data. All right.